Welcome to episode 1 of Tamer Talk, an official World of Wild Hearts podcast. To take you through this episode's talk is myself, Dawn. I am the World of Wild Hearts brand manager, and I am joined by Chase and John. So, Chase, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself for us?
Okay. I am the director of communications, so I'm usually the one that manages most of the social media stuff and some of the YouTube stuff when Dawn isn't doing her own thing. And yeah, so I'm the one that gets our voice out there as best I can alongside Dawn.
Yeah, absolutely. And you do a fantastic job of that, so we always appreciate it. Thank you, Chase. And John, go ahead and introduce yourself and who you are to the Wild Hearts team.
So, my name is John. I am one of Dawn's Amberflight Gaming teammates, and in regards to Wild Hearts, I am a player who loves the game and also has come on to help out the staff with some editing and support and, just make this game the best it can be for when we finally all get to play it with you guys. So, really excited.
That's right. And if you are unfamiliar with the World of Wild Hearts and what we are, what we do, well, essentially, we are an indie game that is developing board games and a card game as well. So if you are interested in board games, our current game that we're going to be focusing a lot of talk on today is a deck builder, but we're going to have more board games down the line, and again, that card game as well. But there's more to the world of Wild Hearts than just what the company is and what we do. And that is the entire kind of lore and story behind the world of Wild Hearts. And we do actually have a field guide to Tetrum lore book that I am actually going to read a little bit from. Read an excerpt here for you all to get you kind of in the mindset of this world here. Long time ago, kings, regents, leaders, presidents, and ministers of every region were fighting over territory, resources, power, even pride. This was the world for a long time. Conflict and little else. One night, though, the stars began to fall all over Magia. That was when everything began to change. Some creatures were empowered by the magic in the stars, some were transformed, and this magic began to find a home inside the people of Magia as well. It wasn't long before those in power found the connection some had gained with these creatures. They called them Wild Hearts.
Mic drop.
There it is.
Boom.
So that's just a little insight into the very expansive world that has been created. And, we love the lore, we love the world, we love the characters and the creatures. So we hope that you start to enjoy them as much as we do. But let's dive into our first board game that I alluded to already, which is a 1 to 4 person deck builder called Wild Hearts Academy. What have you guys found so far, enjoyed so far when we've gotten to do our playtesting? And what do you think of Wild Hearts Academy as a whole?
Well, I'll kick it off, and I'll say that I've really enjoyed playing with the different student cards. So, while in a lot of deck builders, players will start with the same starting deck, in Academy, you actually get a different one depending on which student at the Academy you are going to play as, and each of them comes with their own starting Wild Heart Familiar, and they're awesome. Like, each of them really does feel like a different way to play the game, changes which cards you want to pick, how your deck ends up looking, and it's a lot of fun to just be able to try them out with the different cards and see what works, what doesn't, and what makes you have fun, and maybe your opponents not have so much fun, or, well, try to keep up with you at least.
So my favorite aspect of it is how different every single game feels, right? So the study deck is so vast and just drastically different from all the different cards and what you can, all the different synergies you can build upon, that every time I play, my strategy has been completely different between games. So I really like that. The replayability is really nice because I don't, even if I'm playing the same character every time, my strategy will be different because it just depends on the cards I get, right? Depending on the cards that are there available for me to put into my own deck is going to change how my my overall play style and pattern might be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, the replayability is something that I definitely love. It's got so many different unique aspects. I mean, I've played a lot of different deck builders. One of my favorite board games is a deck builder game, so which is a different take on deck building, I would say. But for Wild Hearts Academy, it's yet another take on deck building. Each time that you play, you will still kind of have that same starting deck, but as John said, you'll have a couple of different cards that get added in based on which student you play, and that initially changes up your starting deck. There is aspects on earning points, on how you actually go about getting points, which is there's kind of two ways I feel like to go about getting points, which is putting power cubes on the board on 3 different fields and kind of vying for those fields, trying to win those fields in with the most amount of cubes, and you get victory points based on that over the 4 rounds. And then you also can grade cards, and you get the value at the end of the game for their graded value for victory points, and then you'll total all that together that you got over the 4 rounds. So there's kind of different strategies involved as well of, do you want to kind of fight for those fields every single round? Do you want to maybe take a round where you just play and go for more cards and you focus on trying to grade some stuff, and maybe your cards don't really work with playing those power cubes onto the fields? Or do you want to focus on something else? Do you want to buy from the study and kind of trade in some other cards to get those cards from the study and play them? Do you want to put them into your preparation area in preparation for the next round? There's all sorts of strategies, which is just so much fun. And yeah, it makes every game feel completely different. So it's very exciting, and I have enjoyed like every minute that I have been able to play it so far. We've played quite a few games, I feel like, and the more I play it, the more I'm like, okay, but now I want to try this strategy, or next time I want to play this student.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's not a game where you just play it once and you're done. It feels like you do actually get that repetitive play, and each time it does feel different. So that replayability is definitely huge for me.
So
Yeah,
before we go, oh, sorry.
Well, it's not even just just deck builder, right? It's like there's so many different aspects. Like, yes, I'm trying to build this deck, but I'm also trying to play into all these different fields so I can win points that way. And then I'm trying to find all these different ways I can grade cards so that way I can get more points in a completely different way. Yeah, it's just you're playing like almost 3 games at once at times, it feels like. It's like, well, do I want to focus in on something? Do I want to just kind of do a little bit of everything? Yeah, it's definitely good.
So before we move on, though, I do have to ask you both, who's your favorite student so far? Because I have to say, Michelle and Ivy has been a total blast for me. And this student is super fun. She lets you just take that summon action over and over again, really build out your deck and your plan, and is super cool. Either of you have one that you're like gravitating towards a bit?
I think for me, it's Gabriella and Hiss so far. That's just been Michelle and Ivy definitely is fun as well. They are fun to play, but I feel like Gabrielle and Hiss like just speak to me for some reason.
Nice.
That's because you're a super aggressive player. That's why. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
That's kind of funny that y'all picked those, because my favorite is actually Javi and Ray, because I like their aspect of like I can slow play it a little bit, where the others it's like I activate their ability, but then I have to play a card, right? So I can't like play from behind very well and like react to things. And then Javi and Ray, they're like, oh, our whole shtick is we're gonna supplant you. We're gonna take away your cubes and put in our own cubes. But we can't do that unless you're also playing and putting out cubes. So they're very fun to have that play from behind, as well as just having a puppo by my side is always fun. But I mean, that said, I do enjoy Michelle. Also, her ability is just feels very straightforward, very powerful, just on itself with no overall arcing strategy. I'm just like, yes, I'm gonna summon everything. And but Kaito can be, depending on the player. I think Kaito will speak to a lot of players that like that crazy combos that they can set up on their plan, right? It's like, well, I don't want to lose my ongoing effect. Well, I'm just going to swap those around, so I just keep it the whole game. I'll never leave play because I'll keep using my ability. So those kind of players, I think they'll really gravitate towards Kaito. But yeah, for me, Javi is definitely my preferred there.
All right. Well, with that, let's talk a little bit about what you can kind of find in the game here. And as we've already kind of been talking about, there are different students, and each of those students has a different mastery ability. So Chase and John have kind of already alluded to those, right? Where it's like talking about, oh, I really like her ability, or she's able to summon stuff easily. Yeah, each student is completely unique, and the mastery that is both required in order to use the mastery ability and the mastery ability themselves are different for each student. So you can pick whatever you feel like you want to try. You can try different students each game. And then there's also going to be character packs that are going to include the student and their 2 cards that we mentioned that will get added into your initial starting deck. And rival decks. And rival decks are really interesting. These rival characters that you can actually play versus the rival in kind of a solo mode, which is why we say it's a 1 to 4 person deck builder, right? So you can actually play by yourself, play versus these rivals. They're kind of not necessarily fully automated, but they kind of play themselves a little bit. And then you can also add them into multiplayer games to add them as a rival that potentially the 2 or 3 of you who are playing with the rival might be kind of competing against that rival as well as kind of competing against the other players. So it adds an additional challenge. So that's kind of something that also makes Wild Hearts Academy unique from other deck building games, where it's not just a player versus player, but you can also kind of add in those rivals with these character packs.
Yeah, and the rivals are sweet. I know the last game where the 3 of us encountered a rival, it was a pretty good rivalry. We're still all licking our wounds from that encounter. So, they're not pushovers. They are a real presence at the table and really will shake up your game.
For sure. Nothing like trying to compete against everybody, but at the same time, we have to band together at points to like put this rival in check. Like, okay, we understand, you're supposed to be our big bad rival, but can you take it down a notch? All right, we're going to band together. We're going to put you in your place a little bit. All right, now we got to get back to competing against each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for each round, depending on how many cards that rival kind of gets to play out for their hand, will change depending on if you want to play kind of as an easier mode, a normal mode, or a hard mode. So there is kind of a scaling difficulty as well that you can kind of adjust when you play with those rivals too. So that's a lot of fun to be able to kind of test yourself and try that out. And yeah, things change up with different players. So maybe you kind of figure out a strategy when you're playing by yourself versus a rival, but that strategy might change how you play against that rival if you're playing with another person or another 2 people as well against that rival. So very interesting concept and idea that we have going on here for Academy. Now, what is all this to say has this is a very exciting game. We're excited for it. But how do all of the players who are looking to get into the game or get their hands on a copy of the game actually get that? Chase, can you walk us through that?
Sure. So our Kickstarter at this point will have launched yesterday. So if you want to get in on the ground floor of actually being able to get some of these physical products, you can do that. But in addition to that, if you're not quite sure, you might be on the fence a little bit, we do have a Tabletopia mod, which you can play for free, as well as we have a free download of a print and play if you're just more of a physical hands-on kind of player. But you can completely download these for free and test them out. And then if you want to get, a physical high quality version, of course, with a lot of extra add-ons, then the Kickstarter will definitely be the way to go there. So, and we have lots of different things to choose from. It's more than just the core game. We actually have some other kind of nicer add-ons, like we talked about the different fields that you play on. We actually have a nice map and stuff like that turns into your to the board that you play on. So lots of different add-ons like that. So we'll go ahead and list those off in just a little bit, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely check out the Kickstarter. It's got a lot of different stuff for different people. I think the thing that I'm excited for as well is that you can get these character packs, so you can add in more stuff to the initial game. Almost like mini expansions, right? Just these little character packs, just to change it up a little bit. And we also have promo cards for the card game as well, the Wild Hearts card game. So that's exciting, and you don't have to pay additional for those, if I am correct. So those are going to be kind of included in, and if you are someone who has played the card game or has gotten product for that, then you can get those promos. But you also can get them as an add-on if you just want to kind of, support the Kickstarter at like $1 or something, and then add on those promos. You can get those for free and not even have to back the Academy Wild Heart or the Wild Hearts Academy if that's something that you're not interested in. So we definitely have some options for different players, different play styles, and there's going to be a lot of different options and levels for everyone to back the campaign as well.
Yeah, certainly. Depending on how much of the extra stuff you want. Speaking of the promos, if you just get the base game of Wild Hearts Academy, you get a free set of the TCG promos. So no matter what tier you back at, if you will get a free set of the promos. So then if you want a play set for the game, then you just have to do a single add-on, and then you'll get that as well. But yeah, if you don't want to do the Wild Hearts Academy stuff at all, you can just do the $1 tier and then just do the add-ons. Just add on 2 promo packs, and then boom, you have your playset for the TCG without having to also worry about finding the financials to cover the board game as well. If you're not the deck builder, if you're not really worried about that too much. So the nice different aspects is the choices is really cool. So I like that we are trying to be as flexible as possible, so that way everybody can get everything they want without too much of a hassle or weird way to go about it. So I think that's really cool. And in addition to that, we actually have our demo deck. So even if you're not, of course, we're here for the Academy, but if you're wanting to try the TCG out, you're like, well, I'm going to get these free promos anyway for this game. If you want to try that out, we're going to have demo decks as add-ons as well. We're not going to force anybody to get them or anything like that, but they are just an additional add-on if you're curious about it, that you can go ahead and pick those up as well.
All right. So, John, have you already backed the campaign, and how excited are you for this campaign?
I'm really excited. And, if I were living in the future, I would have backed as much as I could. But, I am ready to have Academy in front of me, and I know that it's going to be coming to game night table very, very soon. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, one of the big things that I loved before even joining as an official staff member for the Wild Hearts team is the very fast turnaround that the products have for the Kickstarter. So definitely want to address that and bring that up. I know people are probably going to ask, or have that concern, right? With some Kickstarter campaigns, sometimes you back those and it might be a year year and a half, sometimes even before you see that product. But with Wild Hearts and the World of Wild Hearts LLC, think of it more so as about a month and a half rather than a year and a half. So very, very fast turnaround. And the cool thing for those of us living in the United States, if this is something that is important to you, is that everything for Wild Hearts Academy, all of the components, all of the pieces, 100% being made in the US. So, yes.
So excited. Yes, yes. And that's actually part of the reason that we have such a quick turnaround is because we don't have to. In addition to all of our art is already done, right? The game is completely made. We don't have to wait on anything. As soon as the Kickstarter ends, boom, production, send it off to get made. Like we don't have to wait for that. And then also it being produced completely in the US, we don't have to wait on those crazy turnaround times of, getting it imported in. And we don't have to worry about any kind of crazy tariffs or anything like that. Again, that's for US residents, so it might factor in for other countries as well that are also looking to get into it. But it's still the turnaround time either way. We would have to wait for it to get shipped to the US and then repackage it all and send it out to all of our supporters and backers, and we don't want to do that. So having it all produced in the US, just that quick turnaround is so nice. I'm low-key still waiting on something I backed 3 years ago. They're still sending out updates. They're like, oh yeah, we've done this now. It's coming. 3 years. Yeah, no, we're not about that here. We want this in people's hands like literally as soon as possible. I know everyone says that, but you know what? A month and a half after a Kickstarter ends, sign me up every single time.
All right. So just to restate as well, yes, the campaign kicked off yesterday, Tuesday, May 13th, and that's going to be running for a full 3 weeks. So that will be ending on Tuesday, June 3rd. So you have that whole time, but definitely recommend getting in on it early so that you don't forget and then accidentally miss out on backing the campaign. I have done that with campaigns. I might get the email or get a notification and say, yeah, that sounds interesting. I'll check it out later, and then later comes, and then I went, oh shoot, that ended yesterday. I missed it. So don't be like me and get on it as soon as you can and jump in and join that campaign so that you don't miss out on getting your games. All right. Do either of you have any closing thoughts about Academy? Anything else that you want to mention or talk about for the game or the Kickstarter?
Well, I just want to say, don't just take our words for it with these games. I know this might be a lot of your first time seeing a campaign from, the Wild Hearts team, but we've been playing the card game for nearly a year now, which is unbelievable. And we've had this board game in our hands for at least a couple months, and they really do back it up. Like, you play these games one time, and they do stand out. So give it a shot, check it out, and really try it, because I want to play with some of you guys one of these days. It would be really cool.
Yeah, and for myself, I think one of the things I love most about this is the dedication to following the lore, right? We already touched on the fact that they have a lore book, which is amazing, but then for everything, they tie their stuff into the lore so intently. Like, they don't want, if there's an opportunity to, why not, right? It doesn't hurt to name certain things after a certain thing. Like, we have the rivals and the students, right? We could have just called those characters and things like that, but instead, everything has a specific name, and that works for in the Kickstarter as well. Certain things are named a certain way, like all of the tiers. It's not just tier 1, 2, 3, right? They all have different names that tie into Academy, and I just love that dedication to sticking with the lore. You put all this work into it, fleshed it out, released it into the wild, so people don't have to like scrounge around and dig for it. Like, you can get the lore book and boom, it's right there. You can read about it, and then they turn around and then they're sticking with it and then tying it all together. So I love that so much and really appreciate that extra mile that not necessarily needed, but it's still cool to see.
Yeah, I'm going to jump off of that as well and say one thing that I love about the Wild Hearts campaigns is the coloring book as well. Big fan of the coloring book. I have enjoyed kind of pulling that out, getting some pages, at least ideas of what I want to do, if not like started coloring. Um, and it's cool to see, some of that art where it's like, hey, this is just a sketch. And yeah, and Chase is showing his coloring book off back there. Uh, yeah, there's so many pieces that are like fully incorporated, whether it's the art incorporated into various things, the lore, it's all tied together into this one cohesive world. So it's absolutely fantastic to see some of this kind of coming to life. And as I said earlier, that I hope I speak for all of us when I say that we are very excited for it and that we hope that you enjoy it as much as we do, if not more. That might be hard to do, though. All right. Well, we have some different places that you can find more information about World of Wild Hearts and what we have going on. So, Chase, if you would do us the honors and share where people can go to find more from us.
Yeah, so we have, of course, our Discord, which, I mean, we're in there every single day talking about all of our different games, right? So if you want to find out any more information and you want to get like a direct line to all of us, that is a really good place to go to for sure. We also have our X page, which is the Wild Hearts TCG, and we have our YouTube channel, which of course we're putting out as much videos as possible, content for you guys there. And that's of course the World of Wild Hearts, which is kind of our overarching umbrella brand. And we're also on Facebook, same thing, World of Wild Hearts there as well. And anytime I can put out any kind of information for you guys, I will blast it to all of them, right? So if you're only a fan of like one out of all those things I just said, that's okay, because I will put that information out across the board. So nobody gets left out if you're not a fan of any of those platforms. So you don't have to worry about some information only going to one and some information only going to another. No, not going to happen.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this first episode of Tamer Talk, our official World of Wild Hearts podcast. And we will see you in a few weeks with our next episode.
Bye.